Hey everyone, and welcome to A Question to the Teacher. In this series, we're going to ask and try to answer some of the questions that I wish I would have known to ask when I was starting out teaching. And here's our question for the day. Today is March 30th, 2018, and our question for today is, what do you do when something is a success in one class but a failure in the next? What happens here is what we refer to as expectation violation, right? You thought that something had worked once, it had worked in the past, and it will work in the future. But that's just not the way things go. Some classes adapt well to one thing, while others adapt well to something totally different. And you've got to figure out what works for each student, each class, each grade, each day of the week. I mean, no two activities will ever go over the same. Even if you do the same activity on the same day with the same class, you're going to have a different result, right? They've been exposed to it once, the second time's not the same. So one thing that you have to do is manage your expectations. You have to figure out that, okay, just because it was successful doesn't mean that it always will be successful. So something that I like to do when an activity is successful in one class and a failure in the other is to stop, take a time out, and reflect on what worked. What did I do well in the class that it was successful in? Were my instructions more direct? Were they clearer? Were they easier to understand? Was my energy level higher? Were students at attention before I began speaking to them? What was I doing that really got them on board with this activity? And then what I like to do is look at the class that was a failure in and try to figure out what I did wrong. Did I speak too quickly? Was my teacher talk too high? Were the students unprepared at the beginning of the class? When the bell rang, were they a little bit too rambunctious and too high energy? Did I do a bad job settling them in? What class did they have beforehand? There are so many factors that go into a successful classroom that unless you take time to actually stop and think about it, you might just gloss right over them. So next time that you have something that goes over gangbusters in one class and then falls flat on its face in another, don't blame the activity, don't blame the students, don't blame the coworker, the peers, time, lunch, whatever. Stop, evaluate, and don't place blame. Assign areas of improvement. Figure out what you can do better and what you shouldn't do next time. Because hey, just because it failed once doesn't mean it can't be a success the next time. Thanks, guys.